guys, it's the docs at Pure Chiropractic. We are here for another episode of the Pure Perspective podcast. And so today we are talking all things pregnancy. And so we're excited because we certainly love seeing those mamas in the office. We're going to talk about the cascade of events leading up to pregnancy, everything that happens through labor and delivery, what helps to promote an optimal pregnancy, a healthy pregnancy. And so we've got a lot to cover, but we hope that you will stick around and listen.
Yeah. So, and when we were talking about kind of where to go with this, we thought, let's go to before pregnancy even, right? So we have a lot of moms that come into the office, or families that are in the office that they are just struggling to get pregnant in the first place. And they don't really take into consideration the role that nervous system function or nervous system balance has in just being able to get pregnant in the first place. So I think that's kind of where you need to go first.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest thing we certainly can see that the areas that control the reproductive organs can play an impact or have a role in that. And so that's where we see those insight scans and we'll see regions that are not maybe turning on and effectively working. But even outside of that, if we still have good function or good inner nervous system communication to those areas, we still have to remember if the body is stuck in fight or flight, it's not going to procreate. And so it goes back to like biological innate abilities in your body knowing if this is a good time to have a baby. And so if you're stuck in fight or flight, your body's not going to think, "Oh, this is a perfect time to fertilize an egg and have a baby and bring another life into this world." And so it becomes difficult for those families and for those couples to sometimes be able to conceive a child because they are struggling with that fight or flight dominance that makes their body believe, "Hey, this isn't a safe time." If we go all the way back to like fight or flight survival mode, it's not a safe time for you to conceive a child right now. We're not going to do that. And so you're either postponing ovulation, you're not ovulating correctly, or your body's just not able to actually implant that egg and do what it needs to do. So
Yeah, it's that idea that Dr. Lipton quoted, you can't be in growth and protection at the same time. And we think of
mhm,
growth as like growth and development, but even the process of beginning growth
yeah,
can't take place if we're in that protective state.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, even like you said, like if even both parents are stuck in fight or flight. So
Mhm.
a lot of times like the mom will be under care typically, and it's the dads or the husbands that are not the problem, but they're the ones that have a lot of stressed out nervous systems that typically don't like think that what we do or having a balanced nervous system is the answer. And so I think it's our job to just educate more of those dads and husbands just to make sure that they are also having less of that fight or flight response so they can also be in it with the mom to help grow and develop that baby.
Yeah. And that's really what my role is I'm here to yell at your husbands if need be. So I will talk to them and we will get through to them because we're all just stubborn men.
Well, I do think that there's and I wasn't around maybe at the time. I was around, but I wasn't maybe considering anything in this world, or understanding this world of conception and families and building a family and all of that stuff. And so, being in the practice, we've started to just dive deeper into that with helping families be able to have good function in their nervous system so that when it's time to conceive, they can. But I feel like for a long time, there was maybe this stigma that it was the mom's issue or the female's issue if they couldn't get pregnant. And I think more and more we're talking about how it takes both sides to be able to certainly create that
Mhm.
baby, but it can also be that male has difficulties or concerns or issues that certainly could be affecting the ability for the body to take place and take ownership of that. And so that's where we talk about co-regulation so extensively. And so I think when we've got moms that come in for the concern of like, yeah, we've been struggling to get pregnant, we will almost immediately say, get your husband in or get your spouse in so that we can make sure you both are working well together so that when you leave here, your nervous system isn't going back into a distraught state. We want to make sure that both of you collectively living in the same home are getting that good communication so that your body can heal and adapt and eventually be able to take that role should that be God's plan, right?
Yeah. I mean, and it's something like, so personally, I experienced that when Trish and I got pregnant for the first time. I was still in chiropractic school. She was teaching full time. We thought, Very easy process to get pregnant, right? And so 6 months later, we're sitting here trying to figure out what's wrong. And what we didn't take into consideration was she was working in a very stressful job. I was studying for national boards and going through school, which you guys know what that's like. Um, i- our bodies literally couldn't handle the thought of another thing to take place. So it
Yeah.
wasn't until we started to both increase frequency of care, regulate our nervous system better, lo and behold, Leah shows up 9 months later.
Yeah.
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 But that's why it matters. And that's like, it sounds so simplistic, but without that, you can't even begin that process. And so let's go past that. Okay. So mom is pregnant. Why is care so important? And why are the scans so important to structuring care so that mom can have a better labor and delivery? We tell them all the time. We think chiropractic and the statistics show we can improve labor and delivery times by 60%. So why? What does the body do right under chiropractic that it doesn't without it?
And yeah.
So the nervous system is going to control everything. We've said it in every visit. It is just that simple. The nervous system controls it all, and so mom's nervous system is helping to drive baby's nervous system. And so without chiropractic care, if mom is experiencing stressors, we're going to see that that instills into baby's nervous system the same way. And so when we've got mom who's anxious or wound up or struggling to sleep or has poor digestion, is on medications for, a plethora of things that they might be suffering from, we are going to see that baby is inevitably going to be in a more fight or flight state because mom is in a more fight or flight state. And so when we get mom to that regulated state, we can see that baby is going to be able to develop without that fight or flight tendency or without that increased tension in the nervous system. And so because the baby only knows what mom knows, we need to make sure mom knows good nervous system clearance and communication and repair and regulation so that there there's a less chance that baby's going to struggle from the get-go,
Mhm.
right? And so we're also going to see that the pregnancy itself is just going to be more, I don't wanna say at ease, but it is more at ease, and I feel like we've got, moms who still struggle with things that come into our practice that, didn't know about care until it was not too late, but it was further along in their pregnancy than they would have cared for, and once they find us, they're like, "Oh my goodness, why didn't I do this whole time?" But then we've got other moms, like I think I've talked about, one of our moms who did her entire pregnancy with us and now has baby getting adjusted. She swears by it. She was like, "I don't think I would have had the seamless, like, labor and delivery time or the seamless transition through trimester by trimester and every challenge and change that my body gave me through pregnancy. I don't think that that would have happened without chiropractic care." And so I think the biggest thing is just trying to make sure that we are improving, the nervous system's ability to adapt and handle those struggles and changes because your body was created to do this job. Your body was created to procreate and have babies. It's not like this is a new thing that 21st century people are doing. And so we need to instill the ability for that nervous system to handle those changes and those challenges um, proactively rather than reactively.
Yeah.
And so, um,
Well, because you said like waiting too late. And that's something that unfortunately we're doing this and we're talking about this and we're trying to do the messaging and all the different avenues that we do because it is fundamentally harder for us to help them. And most moms wait until their low back is hurting them or they have
Yeah.
sciatica. They are focusing on more of a symptom based care. And
Yeah.
that's the advice that they're given around symptom based care.
mhm,
Do prenatal massage, do supplementation, whatever it might be, but the sooner we can get to the nervous system and start unlocking some of its potential, because the process of pregnancy itself is stressful on
Yeah.
mom. So asking her to do another thing 30 weeks into a 40-week pregnancy is just
yeah.
harder on her.
Yeah. I think a lot of our newer moms too that we've been seeing in the practice, they're like 35, 36 weeks. And so we're kind of catching them towards the end,
Mhm.
which, like you said, is like a lot harder just because we already have so much of that stress and baby's almost here. And so there's a lot going on, especially within the mom, her nervous system. And so I think even with like our maintenance care people that we have that are getting pregnant, we're finding that we need to do scans more frequently. We need to see them more frequently just because their nervous system is about to take on growing another nervous system. And so lots of that stress is about to occur. And we just need to be able to get them through that so they can have like a better end goal and less of those having to take medications or having to go through like the all the sciatic pain or the low back pain that we usually catch them with, at the end if they do come in a little bit later. So just having just a better prep time for that would.
Yeah, and you talked about the frequency of scans, which we do kind of take care. And when we find out that a mom is pregnant, especially if she's been with us and then all of a sudden she's telling us she's pregnant, we do kind of pause whatever care plan she's on and we do a new assessment and we rewrite that. So, um, what are you guys looking for? You guys do handle more of the pregnancy cases in the office than I do now, which is awesome. Love that. But what are you looking for? Because when we do that assessment and we know a mom's pregnant, what sort of patterns or changes do we expect to see from a standard maintenance care scan?
I think that heart rate variability tells the most when it comes to pregnancy. I think, especially as moms come and go from our practice, like they live in a world that is higher fight or flight because you are not only responsible for yourself now, but you're responsible for growing this child and helping it make sure that they're the best they can be. Right. And so there's it's inevitable for the most part that moms come in and they're high fight or flight, sympathetic dominance, or just they lack the ability to have that rest and recover response turn on. And so I think we find that their ability to replenish energy and their ability to handle and perceive their environment appropriately becomes skewed. And that's where, like, we just had a mom in yesterday. She brought her son in on Monday. He's like 2 weeks old. She was like, "Hey, he needs some help. My midwife sent us yada yada. We're going to try to get this figured out so he can latch better and have just overall better outcomes." And I said, "Great." And then we go through his scan, and she was like, "Okay, when can I sign up? Because I can guarantee I'm far fight or flight." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And she came in yesterday. Sure enough, she is the furthest left on that scan
Mhm.
that she can be. And so she is in that heavy sympathetic dominance and low parasympathetic recovery. And so we just want to make sure that even before that, like if she would have come in during her pregnancy, I'm sure we would have seen the exact same thing. We would have seen that not only is your body having to use so much more energy because you're growing an entire human being, but you also are worried and fearful and
Mhm.
concerned and trying to also make sure that like you're doing everything right for this little being. And so I think the heart rate variability scan over anything is showing us just how that nervous system is responding to stressors, and that's where I think the most valid information lies with those pregnant moms.
Yeah. I also agree with heart rate variability, but I also think, DTG and SEMG are a big one with pregnant moms just because that lower back, that it just takes so much of your nervous system to keep that area active and communicating good with the brain. And so we see a lot of hypoactivity and exhaustion throughout that lower lumbar pelvic area just because there is so much going on. So just making sure that that is awake and communicating good so we can have better communication with just all of the development along with not letting things like slip through the cracks
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
that
say,
area.
I think for me personally, I've said it before. My DTG is my favorite scan that we do. I think it might be just my male brain of just like give me the roadmap, and I feel like the DTG is so direct in where the nervous system is exhausted. It very well ties to symptomatology, but the one in pregnancy that I'm always looking at more frequently is the SEMG because we're going to see that energy numbers spike as they're working their butt off trying to grow a baby, but their nervous system is tanking at the same time because it's not getting enough from them to be able to control that process without it
Yeah.
turning into a
Mhm.
stress response. And that's where, we talked about back pain and we talked about sciatica. Those things show up as a byproduct of muscles that are exhausted from working so hard that are not getting what they need to replenish and be adaptable, like you were talking about with
Mhm.
HRV. So, all good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is just the conversation I think with those moms right now seems like they're coming to us for symptomatic care, when I hope that this podcast and our social media and just word of mouth can make it so that they are coming to us for good nervous system regulation and repair. Um, we have had one mom in the last couple of weeks come in who was like, "I'm coming here because I want the best birth outcomes." And I was like, this is the holy grail. This is incredible. I'm so excited. And so I think we're starting to see that happen. And I think, you know, trigger words like vagus nerve and nervous system regulation and fight or flight, those are all things that I think people are more aware of now than they have ever been before. And so I do think that's starting to happen. But I think that we live in a world where it's like, oh, you do this because you have a symptomatic response. That's why you go see a chiropractor for Webster technique. That's why you go see a chiropractor for nervous system adjustments. But if we can get moms or future moms to say, okay, I'm going to make this step to better my nervous system so that when that time comes, I'm ready and prepared. The same way you might change your diet or stop drinking or, actively start to eat better and do all of those things to prepare yourself for baby to come. The same thing could be true when it comes to your nervous system.
Well,
So,
yeah, we think there's a space for us to fit there too, right? Like we're
mhm.
not trying to say you don't go through your
Yeah,
normal protocol with your OB. That's not what we're saying at all. We're just saying that let us come alongside that to make sure that as you're going through this process, your body can
yeah,
actually keep pace with the demands
yeah.
that are going to be put on it, whether you like it or not. You're already in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we actually went through last year, and I realized after having a couple moms come in, we seem to have waves of moms
Mhm.
that come in. So we'll get 5 or 6 pregnant moms that all seem to be due within a week or two of each other. And then they'll all have their babies. And then I'll have a couple weeks of maybe no moms or just no active pregnant cases. And then we turn around and a month later, we've got 5 more. And it's just very fun to see all of them kind of transition through this and seeing where they're at in their journey. But last year was the time where I said, we had a mom come to us and she was maybe 14 weeks at the time. She was like, I need advice. Like I went to this provider and I didn't really like mesh well with them. And I went to this provider and I didn't really like them. And so I'm just trying to do what's best for my body and my baby and our care. Do you have any recommendations? And we were like, that's a really great point. Like we should have recommendations. We should have people that we trust to refer these moms to. And so if you are a local mom in the area, if you or a future dad in the local area and you want some advice or some recommendations, we have scouted out so many midwives and providers and lactation consultants and doulas and birthing class coaches. Like we've done a lot of work to make sure that we have a good team of people that we can refer to. So we
Well, and
have those
not
as
just
well.
people that we looked up, like we met with these
Yeah,
people,
no,
right?
we
Like so they
a
like we
whole
had
like
we had
6 months
rounds
of
of
yeah,
Yeah.
midwives and doulas coming to the practice because we were not going to refer to people that we didn't trust
yeah,
explicitly to
absolutely.
take care of our people or our future people the
Yeah,
way that we would want.
yeah,
So we went through an extensive
yeah.
process to create that
And
network.
that's not to say if you have a birth plan that you should just toss it aside and, listen to us. If you don't have a plan, if you don't know where to start, let us be that resource to help you by first getting your nervous system evaluated, getting adjusted, and then we can set you up with providers that you can speak with to see who fits best for you.
Because it's scary, right? Like I think back to when we were pregnant the first time. You don't know anything, and the standard book that every woman is given is what to expect when you're expecting. And if you read that book, you will convince yourself that you have everything wrong with you that's ever existed on planet Earth as far as pregnancy. And so, for a woman who you guys already kind of think more than men anyways, I can't imagine the turmoil that a book like that would put on a new mom while she's in a new process, especially if she doesn't have a network of people around her that she trusts, or if everyone's just telling her to do exactly what she's
Yeah,
seen generation after generation do,
yeah,
and she didn't like the outcomes that they had. So,
absolutely.
we want to be that educational place where people can go and get good information that is trustworthy.
Yeah, I think the last thing I mean, I could probably talk for hours on this, but the other thing that I think moms don't realize is that the difference there's tons of research and we can share it, we can post it, we can send it out, but there's a lot of research that shows nervous system regulation and repair and the vagus nerve working as well as it should reduces the chance of interventions happening
Mhm.
during labor and delivery. And so I think with our moms that come to us, certainly we still see that there's going to be those caveats that we can't control all of the moving parts and pieces, and there's certainly times where it may end up being that there's an intervention that has to take place because it is a stressful emergent situation. But there's also a lot of times where we have moms that their doctors are already saying, like, we had one, this was probably within my first like 6 months of practice. We had this mom come in. She was at this point maybe 35 or 36 weeks pregnant, and she was like, they're already talking about a C-section. I'm terrified. I don't want to have one. I just need to be in a better spot to be able to give birth to this baby. And so we were like, okay, we're not adjusting baby. We're adjusting your nervous system so baby has a better environment, but let's get rolling and let's see what we can do. And she was supposed to go in. Oh, it gives me chills every time. She was supposed to go in on like a Monday for an induction at 9 a.m., 5 in the morning that morning after being consistently adjusted. Her body went into labor naturally and she had everything go seamlessly. So it's those kinds of situations where, can I say that's going to happen for every single mom out there? No, I can't. But I can also guarantee that if we are working to get your nervous system in a better spot, your stress and ability to adapt to what comes with labor and delivery will put you in a better spot and set you up for better success when it comes to that process.
It made me think of one other thing before we wrap up is breech babies.
Mm,
Mm.
Because that one I have always touted for our practice. We have about an 80% success rate, and we're not flipping the baby, but
yeah.
talk to the moms. What is chiropractic's role? Why are we so good at getting breech babies and these automatic C-section deliveries to turn into natural deliveries? What's our gift there?
Well, so with the Webster technique, we use it with every pregnant mom that comes into the practice. And like you said, we're not adjusting baby at all. We are not making any changes to flip baby or move baby in any capacity. We are adjusting mom's pelvis and her nervous system to make sure that she is creating the most optimal environment for baby to move. So if we imagine the hips or sacrum are shifting out of alignment and they are not giving us that good structural stability, but also we're seeing that there's going to be tension and torsion on those nervous system regions. We are going to see that we could have shifts in essentially how the womb is positioned in the body. And so if you think about if hips and pelvis are torqued or round ligament is super tight or pubic bone is rocked forward, we're going to see that the space in which baby has to move around and develop is going to be shrunken or contorted or changed or tweaked in a way that makes it very difficult for baby to move. And so if you can, I wish I had like a diagram or something because I want to make it visual. Like if you imagine the round ligaments and one side is more taut, it's almost like we use it with moms where it's like, it's almost like you just saran wrapped that side of your body super tight
Mm.
and it can't move as well as it should. It doesn't give enough space or laxity for baby to be able to, move around or kick or spin or just shift in general. And then if you add in that your sacrum is rocked backward or your hip bone is rocked backward and your pubic bone is jutting forward, like none of that is going to give the baby the ample space that it needs to be able to grow. So that's where babies get quote unquote stuck. And that's where if they are breached, if we adjust that round ligament and we release it so that there's no tension, well, now it just expanded the space that baby has to move around in. Baby can move if it should want to, if it needs to, And so again, we're not adjusting baby at all. We're not even touching baby. We are looking to improve the environment in which baby is going to grow and adapt in. And so we certainly have moms that come to us and they say, "Yep, my baby's breech and my provider told me to try chiropractic." And I have to sit down and say, "We are not adjusting that baby at all. We are just making sure that your body is prepared so that birth canal is wide open, baby can come through clearly and effectively and not have the chance of interference because that birth canal is now just that nice open circle. It's not going to be twisted or contorted or shifted in any places that would put pressure on baby before baby makes its entrance into the world."
All good stuff. Well, I think we'll wrap it up on pregnancy. Dr. Anna, what's the call to action for the pregnant moms or the soon to be pregnant moms? What do they need to do?
Come to us.
That's right.
Get evaluated.
Make sure you
adjusted
get
and
those
evaluated.
evaluations. Yes, absolutely. You guys have an awesome rest of the day. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.